Hi guys. Sorry, this video always freezes when I first start. Hello. Sorry, I feel like I haven't made a video for you guys in ages. I have been a little bit sick, but I am COVID clear. I got the results today. Not that it matters online because you can't catch it anyway. I hope that you've had a chance to look at the videos this week. If you haven't, or if you've just skimmed over them, really try and sit down and watch the videos for this activity and listen very carefully to the language that the children are using, so you can see some of the stuff that I've been talking about how a child might say, there's one example where a child says that something growed, for example. So you can see that is that idea of them applying their understanding of grammar to the word grow, but they haven't learnt the word grew yet, for example. So while you're watching them, try and think about everything we've done up until now. So all the stuff about phonology and pragmatics and semantics. And then start to think about, okay, well, how does what I'm seeing reflect on the theories that I've been looking at? So I just wanted to flip through some of these theories and just tell you kind of my thinking around some of them. So in some of the videos, you can see that there might be some kind of imitation or some kind of behavioral evidence. So I think we can see some of those, and you might even want to try and note down like an actual example of, a child maybe imitating some language, for example. So behaviorism, while I don't think it answers a lot of the questions, I think that we can observe some evidence of this where a child will respond back. And we've seen that. And if you have children of your own, you know that they do a little bit of mimic behavior. But it doesn't really, when you look at all the other stuff in these videos, you think, okay, well, behaviorism doesn't answer everything that's happening in these videos. If I look at the nativist one, it's hard to observe, but you can see that the children have a real desire to communicate with other children and with the adult. So this would be kind of reflecting on this nativist approach, that when you look at the video about the infants and the babies, you can see that there's this drive to want to communicate. How much this is reflective of this idea of this language acquisition device, I don't know. There is quite a bit of research about the structures of the brain that do answer that. And if I haven't put a video in the Padlet, I will, which is actually about some brain scan research, which is really, really fascinating. And I do encourage you to watch that as well. So nativism, yep, we can see that there's some natural urges in there from the children. This one I struggle with. So, and I think that we can pretty much discount this. We know that children, if they are not exposed to language, will not develop language. So if they never hear it. So it's not something that, even though we have that innate drive, which is what the nativists say, if we just leave a baby be and never speak to them, they're not going to learn how to speak. So we can't just say it's just developmentally natural. And my problem with this for teachers is that, well, then what is the role of the teacher? Why would we even bother? If the adult doesn't need to interfere, then we don't have a role. And we know that the role of the teacher in terms of guiding and restructuring the language and supporting children is really important. So I think that this one doesn't really offer us much in terms of education and what language really is. So this is an interesting one. So the theory about kind of connecting language development and cognitive development, sometimes it's difficult to maybe separate. So if we say language development is an aspect of cognitive development, there is some indication out there that there is a disconnect. So a person might be cognitively quite, well developed, but their language might not be very well developed. So we can't necessarily say that the two are intimately interconnected. So it'd be worth having a little bit more of a look into that, but it's something that's quite hard to research, I suppose. Oh, and just on another note on that, so sometimes a child may be very, very well developed in their language, in their spoken language, but has a lot of cognitive developmental issues around learning and performing other tasks. So sometimes children can present as being incredibly bright because they have this amazing language, but it's not necessarily reflected in the rest of their cognitive development. So don't assume that just because language is strong, that cognitive development is going fine. And also don't assume that if the language isn't well developed, that the cognition isn't there. And there's kind of a lot of this in research. There's a lot of looking at, well, if someone can't speak, does that mean that there's nothing going on in their brain? And we know that that's not true. So for example, do you need language to be able to think? I would say that a baby can think even if they don't have language. So it's one that's worth having at least a really good think about. So social interactionist theory, we know that this is really important for development, and this is kind of what I've been talking about. So think about theories as like someone had an idea and then someone else another theorist comes along and goes, I'm going to build on your idea, and this is the new bigger idea. So social interactionist kind of takes that idea of the nativist approach, that yes, we're predisposed, but we have to include social interaction in that as well. Okay, so some early theories only look at a certain aspect and don't give us the whole picture, and what we want to do is kind of look at how those theories intertwine and build on one another. So try and avoid, not just in this unit, but any unit in kind of discarding any theory, but kind of look at it as saying, well, this one doesn't give us all the answers, or this one answers a little bit more, but doesn't answer this aspect, for example. So that's, when I'm reading your essays, I'm looking for that kind of critical thinking. And that's it. So hopefully that gives you some idea. Try and engage in the discussion board this week and have a really good think about what you're seeing in the videos, what you understand about theory, and then look for the gaps. Go, you know what, this, I don't know where to put this, and ask me, and let's have a good discussion about it.